Good evening, everybody. In this video, I'm going to talk about the death of Kristoff St. John, an actor from The Young and the Restless, who played the character Neil Winters. His death was reported today, February 4th, 2019. The date that he died was February 3rd, which was the same date as Super Bowl 53 between the New England Patriots and the Los Angeles Rams. In this video, I'm going to talk about the ancient occulted language of Gematria, also pronounced Gematria or Gematria. This is the practice of coding numbers into words. And the ciphers you see on your screen are very simple, all based on the standard alphabetic order. We begin with English ordinal, where each letter is numbered 1 through 26 relative to its position in the alphabet. We also have the full reduction cipher, which takes all the double-digit numbers and reduces them to a single digit, using the rules of numerology. Both ciphers can then be reversed, where Z is 1, Y is 2, and A is 26, for two complementary ciphers called reverse ordinal and reverse full reduction. Now, when you pay attention to this language of letters and numbers and compare it with dates on the calendar, both date numerologies, date durations, we find some very, very incredible alignments that points to the fact that perhaps our athletes, actors, celebrities may be getting killed by a code, something called murder by numbers, or perhaps there's a whole lot of truth to the mystical belief that we are all connected by numbers. Either way, something very, very interesting is happening, and it's time for people to wake up to what's going on in this world. So first of all, let's look at the date Kristoff St. John died. It's being reported that he died on February 3rd, 2019 due to an alcohol overdose. And think about the date February 3rd and how it's written here in the United States, 2/3. Well, interestingly enough, Kristoff St. John, who was born on July 15th, was 203 days after his birthday on February 3rd, or 2/3. In the full reduction cipher, the name St. John has a value of 23. The number 23 was not only significant to the Super Bowl yesterday because of the date, but also consider prime number relationships, which are of utmost significance to this study. You'll see that the 23rd prime number is 83. And why does the number 83 stand out? Well, consider that using the alphabetic order, the word football equals 83. F the 6th letter, O the 15th, and so on. You add those numbers together, you get 83. This brings us to quarterback Tom Brady, whose birthday is August 3rd, written 8/3, again here in the United States. The Young and the Restless debuted in the year 1973, back on the date March 26th. That means that the show is currently 45 years old. In multiple reduction ciphers, both the reverse order and with the S exception, not only does New England equal 45, but the name of the character he played on The Young and the Restless, Winters, equals 45 also in both of those methods. But this is where it begins to get very interesting. There's another very significant cipher to Gematria that produces much larger numbers. We call this English extended, and it's based closely on the ancient Hebrew and Greek isopsephy and Gematria charts. This is where the numbers are numbered, or the letters are numbered 1 through 9, 10 through 90, and 100 through 800, producing much, much larger numbers. We're also going to glance at Jewish Gematria, which is essentially the same, but uses the original Latin alphabetic order, with the modern English characters placed at the end. Well, in English extended Gematria, Kristoff St. John equals 919. 919 is a prime number. It's actually the 157th prime number. And this stands out for a couple reasons. First of all, think about the date, 15/7, as it's written internationally. That would be the 15th of July. Kristoff St. John was born on July 15th of the year 1966. Of course, the Patriots won the Super Bowl, The Patriots, named after United States Patriots, United States equals 157. 157 is also a prime number. As we can see here, 157 is the 37th prime number. In the reduction method, Patriots equals 37. And if you look up the Patriots and their all-time playoff record, you find that the Super Bowl, played just yesterday, was their 37th playoff win of all time. In the reverse order, Patriots equals 53. Notice how the city of Los Angeles, where the Rams play, the team that they defeated, also sums to 37 and 53. Of course, the game that was played yesterday was Super Bowl 53. Kristoff St. John died at the age of 52. So what's interesting is that if you measure to his 53rd birthday from the date of his death, we find it's a span of 163 days. We talked about how this is a ritual, just like the Super Bowl was, related to Tom Brady. Well, Tom Brady's full name is Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., which sums to 163 in the reverse reduction method. Furthermore, 163 is a prime number, the 38th prime number. And if you're familiar with any of my work or the work of Zach Hubbard, you may know that 38 is a very significant number to death. The word death equals 38 in the alphabetic order. Killing equals 38 in reduction, and in fact, murder summing to 38 in the reverse alphabetic order. So this only gets stranger and stranger as we go along. When we measure from Kristoff St. John's birthday to Tom Brady's birthday, we get a span of 11 years and 20 days. In numerology, zeros are ignored, so this reflects a 112. Now, if you watched the Super Bowl last night, you may have noticed that the New England Patriots kicked a game-sealing field goal with 1 minute and 12 seconds on the clock, 112. And by no means was this coincidental. First of all, think about how the young and the restless in reverse reduction equals 112. In the reverse alphabetic order, Super Bowl equals 112. And the name of this man was Kristoff, which also equals 112 in that same method. In fact, if you pay attention to the reduction methods, you'll see that Kristoff and Super Bowl also sum to 41 and 49. 41 was very significant to the game. We had a 41-year-old Tom Brady winning his 6th Super Bowl with 13 points. 41 is the 13th prime number, and 13 is the 6th prime number. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady winning their 6th championship. Bill Belichick is 66 years old. And think about how Kristoff St. John, born in the year 66. Also, in regards to the 49 in reverse reduction, the number 53, when spelled out, equals 49 as well. Now, the only number not shared between Super Bowl and Kristoff is the number 131. 131 is the 32nd prime number. The name St. John with the S exception equals 32. And think about the date February 3rd as it's written internationally, 3/2. Also worth noting that this game was played in Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia, just like Super Bowl, also sums to 131. So when we're talking about numerology, it's important to understand the numerology of the circle and the mathematics of it as well. Up here, we talked about the number 32 and 112. Well, the word circle also has this gematria. 32 in the reduction method, and also 112 in the reverse order, similar to how mathematics sums to 112 in the alphabetic order. And of course, the simplest mathematical equation perhaps is 1 plus 1 equals 2. So we have the numbers of the circle just above. Well, check this out. If you look at The Young and the Restless and just see when it first aired, March 26th, 1973 to the present, well, if you measure from March 26th to February 3rd, the date this man died, it was exactly 314 days. Most of you probably recognize 314 as the first three digits of pi, 3.14. And this brings us to Jewish gematria, again, based on the Latin alphabet, also producing very large numbers. In this method, 3.14 has a value of 888. And here we are talking about the mathematics of the circle. Notice how the number 888 is 6 circles. Not coincidentally, 6 circles equals 609, much like the numerology of pi, 69. Anyway, we're more focused on the 888, 8 representing the infinite passage of time. The last name St. John in that same method also equals 888. There's another moderately significant form of gematria called Sumerian. This cipher is based on the alphabetic order, multiplying each number by 6. And 6, of course, a number related to time, 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in a day, 60 minutes in an hour. 24 hours in a day is 6 times 4. So the number 6, very significant to time. Now, in this method, the name of the character he played on television, Neil Winters, also equals 888. Now, if you take this Sumerian gematria concept and apply it to the reverse alphabetic order, here we have the simple reverse order Z to A, again multiplied by 6. Neil Winters, or the man who played him, died on the same day as Super Bowl 53, and 53 also with this value of 888. Next, we're going to talk about how this death is related to total solar eclipses. Again, if you're familiar with my channel, you understand that there is something called the eclipse crucifixion code. And this comes from the Bible. In the New Testament, Jesus was crucified under an event which is perceived to be a solar eclipse. And as I've discovered, most celebrities, people that you hear about in the news, are dying in numerical relation to solar eclipses, and we'll talk about how this works. First of all, let's talk about a solar eclipse and circles, and in gematria, how these apply. Well, the word eclipse equals 69, 33, and 120. You may recall 69 was the Jewish value of pi, in eclipse, an intersection of the two biggest circles in the sky. Circles equals 69, 33, and 120. And think about the beginning of an eclipse. When the edge of each circle intersects with the middle of the other, we get a shape called a vesica piscis. And if you look at this shape in between here, that might remind you of something significant to the Super Bowl, perhaps the shape of the football. It's no coincidence that vesica piscis in the alphabetic order equals 134, 53 reduction, and 190 reverse. These three numbers are the same as solar eclipse, 134, 53, and 190. And recall which Super Bowl was just played last night? Super Bowl 53. If you watch the game, you may have noticed an overabundance of commercials with robots who are seemingly self-aware, experiencing human emotions. The reason this happened is because transhumanism equals 53. And very much the New World Order pushing a transhumanist agenda, getting robots to do our jobs and everything, which, hey, is great, but again, this language of numerology, all over the place, and it really knows no bounds. Anyway, so again, 53 was the Super Bowl that we saw last night. And do you remember there was only one touchdown scored in the entire game? It was scored exactly 53 minutes into the game. 53 is also a prime number. It's the 16th prime number. The score of the game was 13-3, which is a total of 16 points. Tom Brady defeated number 16, Jared Goff, the quarterback of the Rams. I also want to talk about the number 190, which comes from Vesica Piscis and solar eclipse. There's something very significant to numerology called the metonic cycle. If you don't know about this, read up and learn it. The metonic cycle is a period of almost exactly 19 years that syncs up with 235 lunar phases. They fall within just a couple of hours of one another. And often, 19 years apart, we get a solar eclipse on the same date. So it's no coincidence that we get 190 from solar eclipse and Vesica Piscis. Now, let's look at the gematria of the man Kristoff St. John. In the alphabetic order, his name equals 190. The Rams, who haven't won a Super Bowl in 19 years, are from Los Angeles, which equals 109 in the alphabetic order. The 19th prime number is 67. The name Neil Winters equals 67 with the S exception. This is the value of blood sacrifice and human sacrifice, 67. Remember, like I said, from the Bible, Jesus was crucified during an event which is perceived to be an eclipse. Total solar eclipse equals 67 in that same reduction method. The Super Bowl played on February 3rd. February 3rd is the date that leaves 331 days in the year. And check out how 331 is the 67th prime number. But here's where it gets really, really creepy. Now, in gematria, there's another pretty significant method called satanic gematria. And when you write out satanic gematria in this method, it sums to 666. 666 is the 36th triangular number. This cipher begins with the number 36. In this method, the name of his character on The Young and the Restless equals 533. And look what happens when we measure to the most recent total solar eclipse, which was the Great American Eclipse back in 2017. Measuring to the date that this news story broke, we get a span of 533 days. And that's interesting enough on its own. But let's also look at the two ciphers that we know are extremely significant, the alphabetic order and the reverse alphabetic order. Neil Winters equals 148 and 149. Well, if we instead measure from the date of his death to the next total solar eclipse, which occurs later this year in July, we find he died 149 days before that eclipse, and then news of his death broke 148 days before the eclipse, just like the ordinal gematria of Neil Winters. Finally, one last thing worth looking at in the numerology of this man's death. Kristoff St. John equals 1239 in Jewish gematria. Now, I don't normally drop numbers from the result, unless we're talking about 3 consecutive digits at the end. Notice here we're talking about the number 239. The reason this stands out is because 239 is the 52nd prime number, and Kristoff St. John dead at the age of 52. I guess there are a couple more things I want to point out about this guy's name. Notice how in reduction Kristoff St. John equals 64. The word kill equals 64 in the reverse order. In the alphabetic order, kill equals 44, and the date on which this man died, 2 plus 3 plus 20 plus 19 equals 44. This date, of course, also had 17 numerology when you add the digits together individually. Kill equals 17. Kill also equals 59 in Jewish gematria. And the reason this is significant is because 59 is the 17th prime number. Kill equaling 17 and 59. And would you look at how many seasons the New England Patriots have played? 59 seasons. Pretty interesting stuff. Oh, also, the name Kristoff St. John in the reverse order equals 188. And I find this kind of interesting because Tom Brady, who won the Super Bowl, his 6th, he's being called the greatest of all time. And this sums to 188 in the standard alphabetic order. Before I cut this stream, I just want to point out a post that I made in August of this year, before the NFL season actually began. And I may not have been privy enough to what was going on at the time to make the prediction, but I should have seen that the Rams would be in the Super Bowl this year. And this all ties to the hiring of Sean McVay, the youngest coach in NFL history and the youngest coach to ever make a Super Bowl. The Rams play in Los Angeles, and of course, this is abbreviated LA. In the alphabetic order, L the 12th letter, A the first, LA equals 13. In the reverse order, LA equals 41. And think about how Tom Brady, aged 41, just scored 13 points to beat LA. Well, 41 is the 13th prime number. So this number is very significant to Los Angeles. The coach, Sean McVay, his name using the alphabetic order equals 103, just like the number 13. In fact, if we open extended gematria, his name also equals 1300. Notice how in the reduction method, Sean McVay equals 31. The 31st prime number is 127. And in Jewish gematria, Sean McVay equals 1270. The phrase metonic cycle equals 127. The metonic cycle is a period of 19 years in which 7 of them have 13 lunar phases. And notice how in the reverse order, metonic cycle equals 197. Los Angeles, California equals 197 in the alphabetic order. There's more connections with LA to the metonic cycle, but I'll spare you those for now. Just feel free to check out the post on my blog, Sean McVay. When the LA Rams hired Sean McVay, look how old he was. 11,311 days old. Are you kidding me? His name sums to 103, 31, LA 13. I mean, that's crazy. This post goes on to talk more about the metonic cycle and why Los Angeles is coded with those numbers. And not only did Los Angeles make the World Series this year, but they also made the Super Bowl. And the reason this is all significant with 19 years and Los Angeles summing to 109 is because the last Super Bowl that the Rams won was Super Bowl 34. And Super Bowl 34 was 19 years before Super Bowl 53. Solar eclipse in the reverse order, 190, just like Vesica Piscis, 190, 19 years before Super Bowl 53. So, we're at a point where I actually feel sorry for anybody who doesn't understand that the NFL is a stage show. Now, granted, I have not watched a football game basically all season that I can remember. And watching the Super Bowl pregame show all the way through the game, the way they treated Tom Brady and how he's a rock star taking the stage, if you can't tell that the NFL is WWE garbage, I just feel sorry for you. The fact that in Super Bowl 53, a number which is very significant to football, as I just showed you, the Vesica Piscis, think about how there's 53 yards, or the field is 53 yards wide. There's a 53-man roster on each team. And then in Super Bowl 53, they only score 1 touchdown, and it happens 53 minutes in exactly. It's kind of impressive what they're doing, really, when you think about it. in the NFL and how they're rigging these games. But either way, something very strange is going on with the numbers. And one other link I put in the description below, it's a link to a video from comedian Owen Benjamin, who has been banned from Hollywood. And the reason he is because he's exposing the satanic agenda that Hollywood is trying to push into the rest of the world. And I linked a video below to an Owen Benjamin video discussing pedophilia in Hollywood and just talking about the 6 satanic things that are going on. So that's why, in my eyes, people like Kristoff St. could very well be getting murdered by this code, because the people who are in control are very, very wicked and evil. All right, everybody. Thanks to everybody who jumped in the live chat. I appreciate those of you who made contributions. Whether you're watching live or archived, your viewership is greatly appreciated, but I would like it a lot more if you like, share, and subscribe this video, as once again, YouTube is squashing this type of content. It does not want it on its platform. This is my second YouTube channel. I've had to really clean up my act since I started this work. And it's pretty simple to see that something very sketchy is going on with these numbers. And it's the same thing every time. Ordinal gematria, reduction method, measuring to dates and looking at those date numerologies. Without a doubt, we are exposing the true evil that's going on in the world. All right, everybody, with that, thanks again for watching. God bless, and have yourselves a great day. Adios.